Have you ever looked into a husky's eyes and felt like there was something ancient staring back? Not scary, not distant, just wild. Like behind all the fluff, the silly attitude, the dramatic talking, and the big personality, there is still a part of them that remembers the snow, a part that remembers open land, a part that remembers running for miles with a team, pulling through the cold, breathing in frozen air, and moving forward because that is what they were made to do. That is the magic of a husky. They can live in our homes, sleep on our couches, steal our blankets, argue with us about bedtime, and act like total comedians. But then they start running, and suddenly you see it: the history, the power, the endurance, the reason this breed has captured so many hearts. Because our husky is not just running for fun, she is answering something deep inside her, something older than the leash, older than the backyard, older than the toys scattered across the floor. She is answering the call to move. And when a husky moves, it does not look ordinary. It looks like freedom with paws. It looks like joy with fur. It looks like a little piece of the wilderness decided to live with us, make us laugh, cover everything in hair, and remind us that life is better when there is room to run. Huskies are famous for their energy, and anyone who has lived with one knows that high energy barely explains it. A husky does not simply wake up. A husky powers on. One moment, everything is calm. The next, there is a fluffy rocket launching across the room, through the yard, down the trail, or straight toward whatever adventure she has decided is important today. And the best part is she often looks completely serious while doing it, like she has a mission, like there is a sled waiting somewhere, like the fate of the world depends on her getting from one side of the field to the other as fast as possible. That is the beautiful thing about our husky. Even when she is being goofy, there is something powerful underneath it. The bouncing, the sprinting, the sudden bursts of speed, the playful turns, the excited face. All of it comes from a breed with a real working past. Huskies were never designed to be lazy decorations. They were not created to sit still all day and politely wait for something interesting to happen. They were bred for movement, for teamwork, for distance, for cold air and long trails, for pulling sleds across snow and ice. That history matters because it helps explain so much of what we see today. It explains why our husky wants to go, why she gets restless when life is too quiet, why she seems happiest when the world opens up in front of her, why her body seems to know exactly what to do when she starts to run. There is a difference between a dog that likes running and a dog that was built for running. A husky was built for it, not just for speed, but for endurance. And endurance is a special kind of strength. Speed is exciting because it happens all at once. You see the takeoff, the blur, the sudden burst, and it grabs your attention. But endurance is deeper. Endurance is the ability to keep going after that first burst fades. It is rhythm. It is patience. It is strength that lasts. It is the quiet power of one step after another. That is the kind of strength huskies are known for. The kind that does not need to show off for 1 second and then disappear. The kind that keeps moving. The kind that works with breath, body, focus, and determination. And when you understand that, you start to see our husky differently. You stop seeing only the zoomies. You stop seeing only the funny chaos. You start seeing a living engine, a dog with a body and mind shaped by generations of work, a dog whose excitement is not random, a dog whose need to run is not just a habit, it is part of who she is. That is why a husky can seem so dramatic indoors and so natural outdoors. Inside, she may talk back, flop down in inconvenient places, demand attention, steal socks, judge everyone silently, and act like she is being personally wronged because dinner is 2 minutes late. But outside, everything changes. The world gives her a job. The ground gives her a path. The wind gives her a reason. And suddenly all that energy makes sense. She was not being too much. She was just full of motion with nowhere to put it. That is one of the biggest lessons our husky teaches us. Energy needs a place to go. If it has no direction, it turns into trouble. But when it has space, purpose, and freedom, it turns into something beautiful. That is true for dogs. And honestly, it is true for people too. Sometimes we call something restlessness when it is really unused potential. Sometimes we feel stuck because we have been still for too long. Sometimes what looks like chaos is just energy waiting for direction. Our husky does not overthink that. She does not sit around wondering why she feels alive when she runs. She simply runs. And maybe that is why watching her is so satisfying. Because there is no pretending, no fake excitement, no careful performance, just pure instinct, pure joy, pure movement. A husky running is honest in a way that is hard to describe. Every part of her says the same thing. This is what I love. This is what I need. This is who I am. And that honesty is powerful. In our busy lives, we often forget how good it feels to do something simply because it feels right. We make everything complicated. We measure everything. We plan everything. We ask if something is productive, useful, impressive, or worth sharing. But a husky does not need all that. The reward is the run itself. The wind, the ground, the speed, the feeling of her body doing exactly what it was designed to do. That is the kind of joy that does not need an explanation. It just needs space. And space matters so much for a breed like this. Huskies are strong, smart, and curious. They do not just want physical exercise. They need mental stimulation too. A tired body helps, but a challenged mind matters just as much. That is part of their sled dog background. A team of sled dogs is not just a group of animals pulling forward without thinking. They listen, they respond, they work together. They learn rhythm, they understand direction. They build trust with the person guiding them and with the dogs around them. That combination of intelligence and athleticism is what makes huskies so amazing and sometimes so challenging. Because a smart dog with lots of energy will find something to do. The question is whether we give her something good to do first. That is why walks, runs, games, training, safe exploring, and healthy routines are so important. They are not extras. They are part of loving a husky well. When our husky has a chance to move, think, sniff, explore, and use that working dog brain, we see the best version of her. Happy, focused, confident, connected, and yes, still a little dramatic. Because she is still a husky. That part is permanent, but the drama is part of the charm. Huskies have a way of turning ordinary life into a story. A walk is not just a walk, it is an expedition. A squirrel is not just a squirrel, it is breaking news. A closed door is not just a closed door, it is an injustice that must be discussed loudly. A bath is not just a bath, it is a betrayal. And a run is not just a run, it is a return to something ancient. That is what makes this breed so special. They live fully, they feel loudly, they move boldly. They do not hide their excitement, their opinions, or their disappointment when you are not moving fast enough. Our husky reminds us every day that life does not have to be quiet to be beautiful. Sometimes beauty is loud. Sometimes it howls. Sometimes it pulls on the leash like there is a sled attached. Sometimes it launches across the yard like gravity is optional. And sometimes it looks back at us with that bright-eyed expression that says, "Come on, The world is waiting. That look is hard to resist because deep down, maybe we want that too. We want to feel excited about simple things. We want to wake up ready for adventure. We want to move through the world with confidence. We want to care less about looking perfect and more about feeling alive. A husky does that naturally. She does not run because anyone told her to be inspirational. She runs because her heart says go. And there is something beautiful about that. The sled dog spirit is not only about pulling weight, it is about partnership. It is about trust. It is about forward motion. It is about being part of something bigger than yourself. In a sled team, no dog carries the whole journey alone. Each one has a role. Each one adds strength. Each one contributes to the rhythm of the team. Together, they become more than individual dogs. They become movement. That idea still lives inside the modern husky. Even when our husky is not pulling a sled, she still wants connection. She wants to be involved. She wants to be part of the day, part of the walk, part of the conversation, part of every snack that might possibly be shared. She may act independent, and huskies are definitely known for having their own opinions, but she still wants to belong. She wants her people near. She wants us to watch. She wants us to join the adventure in whatever way we can. That bond is one of the sweetest parts of life with a husky. They may test your patience. They may ignore you at the exact moment you are trying to impress someone with how well trained they are. They may act like every command is a suggestion that needs legal review, but then they lean into you. They talk to you. They follow you from room to room. They celebrate when you come home. They make you laugh when you did not expect to laugh. And suddenly, all the stubbornness becomes part of the story you love. Because our husky is not just a pet. She is a personality, a teammate, a daily adventure, a furry reminder that love is sometimes messy, loud, funny, and full of motion. That is why her running means so much more than exercise. It is a window into who she is. It shows the part of her that words cannot explain. The athletic part, the joyful part, the ancient part, the part connected to snow trails, sled teams, and miles of open land. And even though her life today may be full of toys, treats, soft beds, and people who adore her, that original spark is still there. You can see it in her stride, in her focus, in the way she carries herself, in the way she seems to come alive when she has room to move. That is the gift of understanding a breed. When you know where a dog comes from, you understand what they need. You stop seeing stubbornness as only a problem and start seeing intelligence that needs guidance. You appreciate the wild, wonderful dog in front of you. That does not mean letting a husky do anything she wants. Actually, it means the opposite, because a dog with this much drive needs structure. Huskies are famous explorers, and sometimes their idea of adventure does not include asking permission first. So love has to include responsibility, a safe harness, a secure yard, a strong recall practice, careful choices about when she can run. A husky's freedom is beautiful, but it should be protected, because the goal is not just to let her run. The goal is to help her run safely, happily, and often. She brings the energy. We bring the guidance. She brings the spirit. We bring the care. She brings the wild joy. We help give it a safe place to shine. And when that balance works, it feels incredible. You see a dog who is fulfilled, not just entertained, but understood. That is what every high-energy dog deserves. Not a life where their nature is constantly fought against. A life where their nature is respected and guided. A husky will always be a husky. She will always have opinions. She will probably always have dramatic moments. She may always believe that walks should be longer, meals should arrive faster, and humans should stop being so slow. When we understand her, it becomes easier to love because we know what is underneath it: a working heart, a bright mind, a body built for distance, a spirit built for adventure. There is always something to notice: a look, a sound, a burst of energy, a funny decision, a moment where she seems wise and ancient, and then, 2 seconds later, a moment where she acts like a complete goofball. That contrast is part of what makes Huskies unforgettable. They are majestic and light-spirited at the same time. They can look like Arctic legends one moment and then roll around like silly puppies the next. They can pull with power, run with grace, and still somehow get confused by a toy they stepped on themselves. And we love them for all of it. When our husky runs, it feels like all the pieces come together: the athlete, the explorer, the sled dog's soul. All of it shows up in one moving, breathing, joyful animal. And maybe that is why it is so easy to watch a husky run again and again. There is always emotion in it. There is always a story: the story of where they came from, the story of what they were built to do, the story of the bond we share with them now, and the story of a dog who is happiest when she is fully herself. That is the heart of this video. Not just running, not just energy, not just speed, but identity. A husky running is a husky remembering. She is not giving a history lesson. She is not making some grand statement about endurance. She is just being a dog. But sometimes dogs teach us the biggest lessons by simply being themselves. Our husky teaches us that joy should be tapped into, that energy needs direction, that freedom feels best when it is shared with someone who cares for you. That strength is not only about one big moment, it is about continuing, again and again, step after step, day after day, adventure after adventure. That is endurance. And endurance is not just physical, it is emotional too. It is the spirit that keeps showing up, the excitement that comes back every morning, the willingness to try again, the desire to move forward even after rest, routine, boredom, or waiting. A husky seems to wake up with that message built in. There is something hopeful about that, something we could all use more of, because life can make us tired. It can make us slow down in ways that are not always peaceful. It can make us forget that movement, curiosity, and play are not childish things. They are part of being alive. Our husky does not forget. She reminds us. That is why this story matters. Because it is not only about a dog, it is about what a dog awakens in us: the desire to be present, the desire to laugh more, the desire to notice simple happiness, the desire to move toward life instead of only watching it pass. When our husky runs, she is completely in the moment. No past, no future, no worries about being perfect, just motion. And that kind of presence is rare. Maybe that is why dogs are so good for us. They pull us back into now. They make us remember that joy does not always need to be complicated. Sometimes joy is right there. And as our husky keeps running, there is one thing that becomes clear. This is not something we trained into her. This is something we are lucky enough to witness. The instinct was already there. The spirit was already there. The endurance was already there. Our job is simply to understand it, protect it, and give it room to shine. Loving a husky means accepting the wildness without losing responsibility. It means laughing at the drama while still giving structure. It means appreciating the beauty while respecting the work behind the breed. It means knowing that behind every playful sprint is a long history of dogs who helped people survive in some of the harshest places on earth. And it means remembering that our husky even in a modern home, still carries that legacy. That is the husky heart, a heart that still beats loudly today, even when the sled has been replaced by a leash and the snow trail by a sidewalk. The setting may have changed. The spirit has not. Wild and loving, independent and connected. A sled dog's soul wrapped in the life of a beloved family dog. She is a reminder that adventure can be simple, happiness can be loud, fast, and covered in fur. She is the living story, a story of snow, strength, teamwork, instinct, and love. A story that continues every time she steps outside and feels the world open up in front of her. A story that says, keep going. A story that says, there is more to explore. A story that says, this is what I was made for. And maybe that is the greatest thing about Huskies. They remind us what it looks like to be fully alive, to run without embarrassment, to feel joy without hiding it, to meet the day with bright eyes and a restless heart, to carry your history, but still live completely in the present. Our Husky does all of that without saying a word. Although, knowing Huskies, she probably has plenty to say. And that is why we love her. For the running, the talking, the attitude, the beauty, the chaos. For the quiet moments after the adventure when she finally rests, satisfied and peaceful, like the engine has slowed down for now. Only for now. If you enjoy our content, like and subscribe, and let us know where you find your source of joy, movement, endurance, and happiness. Because tomorrow, the call will come again. The door will open. The air will change. The world will stretch out in front of her. And that ancient spark will light up in her eyes again. Our Husky was born to run, built to endure, made to explore. And lucky for us, she lets us come along for the journey.